Namaskar. The Home Minister Amit Shah has given instructions that the highways in Manipur should be opened and traffic should move freely. Now, after the 3rd May 2023 incident, in which opposing the High Court direction that the majority Meitei community, which considers itself Hindu, should be given the scheduled tribe status, was perceived as a threat by the two other large communities which live in Manipur, the Kukis and the Nagas, both tribals, both Christians, and contributing to about 43% of the population of Manipur. A rally was being held in Churachandpur, which is the neighboring district of Imphal, and is a largely a Kuki district. And there was a burning of tires incident at the Anglo-Kuki gate, which has been built in remembrance of the war that the Kukis fought against the British. And a rumor was spread that the Anglo-Kuki door has been burnt, and the rally of the Kukis, mostly some Nagas were also there, it was provoked and violence started. And in the next 2 days, mostly Kuki families were the targets of the violence. More than hundreds of people died. The total number of deaths so far has been over 250 of both Meitei and Kuki communities, with the number of Kukis more than the number of Meiteis. And the violence, some of the worst thinkable violence happened in the Kuki and the Meitei areas. The Kukis living in Imphal, their houses were burned, they were forced to flee, and in response, the Meiteis from Churachandpur and Kangpopki and other Kuki dominated areas were forced to leave these areas and go to Imphal. And as a result, there was a total segregation of Meitei and Kuki population. Of course, there were Nagas and other people who have gone from different states of India to work and live in Manipur, and Nepalese citizens who live everywhere. But between Kukis and Meiteis, there was total segregation, with all the Meiteis concentrating in Imphal, and mostly in Imphal, and the Kukis concentrating in Churachandpur and Kangpopki and some other districts. The enmity between the two was such that no Meitei could go to a Kuki area. When you would go from Imphal to Churachandpur, you would have various kind of checkposts. There would be the police, Manipur police, there would be the paramilitary, the Assam Rifles and the BSF and the military, about 7 or 8 checkposts. And then you would have a Kuki checkpost who would ensure that no Meitei would enter their area. And similarly, when you would be traveling from bus, you will be traveling on bus from Dimapur and coming to Imphal. When you enter Kangpopki district, the Kukis would ensure that no Meiteis are entering in their area. And when the bus would enter Imphal, the Meiteis would ensure that no Kukis are entering their area. And if any Kuki or Meitei happened to stray in the area of the other community, most likely he or she would get killed. Such was the enmity between the two communities for the last almost 2 years now. It will be 2 years in May. And the situation was such that I went there for 3 times in 2024, and when I asked a Meitei friend to give me his vehicle so that I could travel to Churachandpur, he told me that if the papers of his vehicle were checked by the cookie people who would be there at the check post, and if it was found that the vehicle was owned by a Meitei, the vehicle would be burnt. So I had to borrow the vehicle of a contractor from Uttar Pradesh who lives there and supplies items to the army, and only then I could move around in that vehicle between Kuki and Meitei areas. All the drivers who are running commercial vehicles at this time in Manipur are Muslims who are called Pangals. They are of Meitei origin, but they are the only drivers who are acceptable to the Kukis, and therefore they are the only ones who are taking the vehicles from a Meitei area to Kuki area and the other way around. So in such a situation, when the Meiteis and Kukis were separated, Kukis are tribals, they have arms, they have traditionally been using arms to pray so that they can get their food, and the police, Manipur police, willingly let the Meitei crowds loot their armory, and the weapons were virtually handed over to the Meitei groups, the Arambai Tengol and Meitei Lipun. These were the two prominent groups which were participating in the violence. There was a situation in which tension was created by these groups, so that the normal life was disrupted, and any Meitei who would have to leave Manipur could only do through the air route, because he or she could not travel outside Imphal, because the neighboring districts are Kuki districts. And similarly, if a Kuki had to leave Manipur from Churachandpur, let us say, he or she would have to travel to the neighboring state of Mizoram and then could take a flight from Aizawl. Now, Mizoram is about 10-12 hours of journey from Churachandpur, and there were cases of medical emergency where the patient had to be transported to hospital in Guwahati or in Delhi. And you can imagine what would have been the condition of a patient traveling on a hilly road, between Churachandpur and Aizawl. So, under these conditions, when the government headed by N. Biren Singh was openly supporting the Meiteis, Kukis were being discriminated against. Kukis set up not just their checkposts, but also protest sites where they held a banner which said that since they have been separated, they would like to have a separate administration. A demand which was simply not acceptable to the Meiteis, because essentially a separate administration for Kukis would have meant ultimately a union territory, for the Kukis, where they would have their own administration, which would have meant division of the state. Meiteis were totally against it. They said they would not compromise on the integrity of their state. And previously, even Nagas have been demanding a greater Nagaland, which consists parts of Manipur. So Nagaland and the other three states in which Nagas live, Manipur, Arunachal Pradesh and Assam, and there are parts in Myanmar, equally big in area, but less populated, where Nagas live, and the concept of Greater Nagaland covers all this area. Now, Myanmar, it may not be possible for them to get the area because it is a different country, but the Nagas, when negotiating with the government of India, have indicated that they would like to have the Naga inhabited areas of Manipur, Arunachal and Assam to be part of Greater Nagaland, which has been strongly resisted by Meiteis earlier on the same count that they would not like their state to be divided. They have stood for the integrity of the Manipur, and therefore it was natural for them to oppose this idea of separate administration of cookies. So Nagas oppose the idea of giving scheduled tribe status to Meiteis because, like cookies, they feel threatened that Meiteis, once they have an ST status, would start buying their land in the hills. The geography of Manipur is such that the valley is dominated by the Meiteis, that is the Imphal, and then the surrounding areas, which are hills. First you will find cookies, and then as you go up the hill you will find Nagas. So Nagas were opposed to the status of scheduled tribe to Meiteis, but were also opposed to the idea of separate administration for cookies because they say that they have been original inhabitants of this area, the hills of Manipur, and most of the cookies have come from Myanmar, which is not entirely true, because if you look at the census figures, there has not been much of an increase proportionally in the population of cookies as compared to Nagas and Meiteis. Although it is true that large number of cookies, just like Nagas, live in Myanmar, and they have been crossing over the border, especially because of their persecution there by the militant groups and the military of Myanmar, and they have taken refuge in Manipur as well as in Mizoram. Mizoram has been openly welcoming them because the Mizos are ethnically closer to the Kukis and the Zo community, and now the Chin and the Kuki and the Zo, they have formed an umbrella group, and they are ethnically very close to each other. Essentially, they consider themselves as one community, and they stand behind the rights of the Kukis. So it is a conflict of interest between various ethnic groups, and right now the situation is that one Kuki or Meitei cannot go from one area to another, and Amit Shah in these conditions has given a direction that the highways should be opened and the vehicles should start plying between one area and another. When this happened, it was protested by the Kukis. Some Meitei civil society groups decided to take out a march into a Kuki area, which was strongly opposed by the Kuki groups, and the Home Minister does not have any idea of the level of enmity that has been developed between these two communities. The Prime Minister has not visited Manipur since the violence started on 3rd May 2023, and Amit Shah and his son, along with the former Chief Minister Biren Singh and his son-in-law, seem to be more interested in controlling the drug trafficking. They have accused Kukis of indulging in narco-terrorism, but the reality is there is big money in drug trafficking, and because of this vested interest, they have ignored the problem of ethnic divide in Manipur. They have not made any attempt at reconciliation. The present governor, after the president's rule has been imposed, has at least moved in the right direction, taken one step in the right direction. He has given an order that all the arms which have been looted from the armory must be given back to the government. The Arambai Tengal has returned some 200-300 of arms, but there are about 6,000 to 7,000 arms in the hands of people of Manipur, both Kukis and Meiteis. So these arms have to be returned, and some reconciliation gesture has to be initiated so that Kukis and Meiteis can come to the dialogue table, so that they can work out a solution uh, for their issues. Thank you so much.